Hi, my name is Samantha Payne. I am a graduate from the broadcast journalism program at Mohawk College in 2009. And right now, currently, I work for Chorus Entertainment. I am a programming assistant, so I deal with all the behind the scenes when it comes to programming. So everything you hear on the radio, whether it's music, commercials, imaging, anything like that, I had some kind of hand in putting it to the air. I also work as a weekend announcer on our rock station Y108, so you can hear me weekends on that station. And as an alumni, I received a couple questions that I'm going to answer for you today. So, the first question: what role did networking play in your job search? If you're in one of the media programs, you may know this or you may not know this, but the media world feels very large, but it's also very, very small. Everybody is so interconnected. You wouldn't believe how many people know who I am, and I have no idea who they are. They've heard my name before I've ever heard their name. So, yeah, the industry is very, very small, and networking is a huge part of getting into radio, even some of the other media industries like television or journalism. So networking is a huge part of becoming a part of this industry. It's all about making those connections, whether you're still in college or once you graduate. It's always great to reach out to some of your local stations, maybe not even local, maybe some stations that you're interested in across the country, and get to know who their program directors are. It's always great to know who's in programming, because they'll be able to direct you into the right spot. And it's also great to reach out to some of the announcers who are just on air, whether you want to be on air, whether you want to be in any part of radio. It's really great to make those connections, establish yourself, send them air checks. Send them clips if what you want to do is be on air. Send them clips of yourself and get some feedback, and that establishes that connection. And then when places are looking to hire, your name automatically comes off the top of their head, and they're like, "Oh, I've dealt with this person before. They sound pretty good," or "I think they can fit our brand." And so you're immediately already top of mind. So networking, like I said, is a huge part of the media industry. We are a little but mighty industry, and you're really not going to go anywhere unless you start making those connections and building those relationships within the radio industry. The next question I have: from your experience in radio broadcasting, what areas could graduates interested in the music industry explore? And that's a question that was submitted by a student. There is so many different avenues that you can go. A lot of people, when they think radio, they immediately think on air. Even just in the radio industry, there's so many different aspects. Like I said, I work in programming, which isn't directly on air, but deals with on air stuff. There's sales, there's promo. But then you also get into the offshoot of radio, which is the music industry. And we work very closely with the music industry, obviously, because we play a lot of music artists. We have to make those connections with record reps and different labels. So that's a really interesting avenue that you could go if you're interested in radio, you're interested in the music industry, maybe not necessarily wanting to work full time in radio, but you want to have that kind of cross experience. The record industry is actually a really good place to go. So you could work as a music rep, where you're working with different artists, you're working directly with radio stations to get that music played, put out promotions and sponsors for different shows. We connect with them a lot in our ticket giveaways with our listeners, so we can send them to private shows or private screenings, send them in a box, send them, halfway around the world to see somebody like an Ed Sheeran or a Pearl Jam. So that's probably one of the biggest avenues that you could go if you're in the radio broadcast. Um, if you're in the radio broadcast program and you're not really sure radio in its entirety is right for you, that might be a good avenue to explore is the music industry because they have so many different places that you could go. And a friend of mine actually just got a job at SOCAN, which is in charge of all things music when it comes to broadcasting music, rights for artists, and that kind of stuff. SOCAN has a museum. They help run the Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that's another avenue that you can go without even thinking about it, because a lot of people wonder how they would get into that kind of thing. If you have a radio background, it makes it a little bit easier to understand where that comes from. And again, you're working with radio stations, but not necessarily in the radio or broadcast industry. And the last question I have is, did you find your dream job after graduation or did it take some time? This is kind of a complicated answer in that I'll say, no, I did not find my dream job directly out of college. I got a lot of experience at different places. I actually ended up working in TV outside of college, which is not exactly where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to get into radio, but there was no radio opportunities at the time. So I did a little bit of a stint in television. And then after about a year of that, I moved into radio and the opportunity kind of presented itself. Now, the reason why I say this answer is complicated is because my dream job has changed 3 times over since I started working in the industry. And I've been actually with the same company, Chorus Entertainment, I've been with them in Hamilton for almost 11 years now. And I started off as an overnight op on the AM station, and I kind of made my way up. Then I became the content producer for 2 of the biggest talk shows on that station. And I thought that was my dream job. As you know, I thought this is pretty great for a young 20 something. I have like an amazing job. It's full time. I'm content producing. This is awesome. And then a opportunity knocked on my door to move over to the FM station that was flipping from a greatest hits format to a pop station. So they wanted me to come over and be the morning show producer on that. And I didn't realize that, this was a really great opportunity for me, that this would be presented to me at all. So I got into that role, and that became my dream job, where, even though I was waking up and my alarm was going off at 3 a.m., it was a dream opportunity to be able to sit there with 2 amazing co-hosts and just have great chats in the morning, great laughs, talk to amazing listeners. And I did that for 7 years. And then unfortunately, that came to an end. There was a little bit of restructuring, and somebody who worked in a different department saw my potential in programming. And if you had told me 11 years ago that I would be where I am now working in programming, I wouldn't believe you, because programming wasn't something I ever thought I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be a producer, and then I thought I wanted to be on air and be a producer. So now I'm currently in my dream job, and I'm working towards the next step within programming. Whereas with the other jobs, they were absolutely amazing and they were my dream jobs at the time. But now that I've kind of found my place, I know how I'm going to move to my next dream position within the same umbrella of programming. So I think we kind of need to get this mindset out of our head that, if you don't find the dream job right out of college, you're failing, or you're not doing as well as you're supposed to be. Your dream job will change so much, and maybe it won't. Maybe you will land a position as an on-air host in the afternoon in your home city, and that's what you've always wanted, and that's what you'll continue to do for 10 years, and that's absolutely great. But I don't think we should beat up on ourselves if you don't necessarily get exactly what you want, because you can learn to grow within that position, and you can learn to kind of turn it into your dream job until you make that next step. Well, while I thought I had my dream job once I got into radio, I didn't necessarily get it right out of college, and I think that's okay. And I think we, again, need to stop beating up on ourselves for that, and we can mold what that dream looks like into anything we absolutely want to. So I think that that's the best way to look at it, and don't beat yourself up if that dream job isn't necessarily available outside of college. Um, the one thing I can leave anybody who's graduating from any of the broadcast programs, whether it's journalism, television, radio, is be your own cheerleader. And I know that's really hard because when we get into the media industry, they tell us, you can't have an ego. There are some people who do have an ego in this industry. It doesn't take them very far. But the problem is that there are going to be so many people like your teachers, your peers, your co-workers, your boss who believe in you, but if you don't believe in yourself and you're not cheering the hardest for yourself, then it doesn't really matter. Everybody can say the best things about you, and they can go out on a whim and you know say that you're the best candidate for the job. You're so great, you're so talented. But if you're not cheering super hard for yourself, then what's the point? Who else is going to cheer super hard for you? You need to believe in you. Keep your ego a little bit in check, but believe in you, believe in yourself. And again, remember this industry is so small. So it is so important to just build those connections, build those relationships, and just believe that you can go as far as you want to and step into any role that you want to, so long as you're cheering hard for yourself.